Wherever you are listening, this is Splash 105.5 FM. It's your integrity station. We thank you for always being here with us on this frequency. Well, at this time, the world is looking for a solution to COVID-19, and a country came to the map very quickly, Madagascar. The president of Madagascar has been doing a whole lot when it comes to finding local solution to the problem of COVID-19. All right, so let's do it this way. From different countries of the nation, of the world, there have been quite a number of discussions about how we can get solution to these problems. And so today on the program, we want to look at Africa finding its own solution to this issue of COVID-19. WHO has said there is no cure to this pandemic, but we should find a cure to it. From Ghana to Zimbabwe, Madagascar to China, Singapore and Philippines, the situation is the same. We have a herbal cure for COVID-19. That's what they're claiming. Nigeria is also not, taken away from it. So the program is taking a look at how we can develop a homegrown solution to this pandemic. I have someone in the studio with me. She is a clinical herbalist, a well-being advocate, an entrepreneur, and she is Dr. Christiana Olapade Ojo of Narl Specialist. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Well, I'm amazed to find a young lady like you in this kind of profession. So let's do a little bit of background. How did you come into this profession?
I always feel proud to talk about my heritage. Yeah, I was born into it, actually. My dad, my late dad, Professor Olapade, was professor of ethnomedicine. He founded this organization now. And I've been with him, myself and my brothers. Incidentally, I'm an only daughter. So, we've been assisting with, preparing agbo, pounding black soap, grinding leaves here and there since we were young. Despite the fact that my dad was quite educated, he was a doctor of genetics, so he had all his degrees at the University of Ibadan. He still took pride in traditional healing methods. So he sort of exposed us to these things since we were young. And good enough for myself and my brothers, we took interest in the practice, and I got my first degree in botany. I was probably the only one in my set then that actually failed botany in my jam form. And they were like, are you nuts? Everybody's feeling medicine, feeling law, and botany. What are you going to do with botany? So due to peer pressure, I had to choose a beautiful second choice. I chose pharmacognosy, but it had always been botany I wanted to do. So I think I didn't stumble into this practice. Okay. I didn't. I was born into it. I developed myself in it, and I'm still a student of this practice. I'm still learning.
So you got so much interest in plants.
Absolutely.
And they say plants are very important, not only for food, but also for medicine.
Absolutely.
So how important are plants for medicine?
For medicine, before I even talk about the importance of plants for medicine, without plants, if you were to take away every single plant on the surface of the earth right now, I'm not sure that any other life form will survive for the next 5 days. I'm not sure, because plants are known to be the atmospheric cleanser. We animals, we breathe out carbon dioxide, and plants, they take it up and give us the oxygen we need. So they are the complementary parts of that cycle. So imagine cutting off that part of the cycle, we're going to just go extinct.
That's a bridge.
Exactly. So we're going to go extinct. So the thing about plants is they are not just life sustainers. They are basic to our existence, and pretty much it's expected. They are our medicines. It's quoted in the good books, they shall serve as medicines for us, and they are still serving as medicines for us.
So if we don't understand how they work, then they cannot serve as medicine for us. Understanding how they work is scientific.
Absolutely.
So is herbal medicine scientific?
Herbal medicine is very scientific, but there is this misconception I always like to clarify. Now, herbal medicine, conversations around herbal medicine is always being situated within pharmaceutical definitions. That is always our undoing. Yes, medicine is there in the words, herbal medicine. But medicine can be substances, they can be chemicals, and they can be foods. Medicine can be an art. Some people yoga their way into well-being. Some people just, sleep their way into well-being. Some people do water therapy. And honestly, Yorubas will say, Omode omo ogun, ope lefo. Another way I like to state that is, Omode omo ogun, ope lonje. So, traditional practices recognize food as our medicines. And that is why when someone is presenting an ailment and you go to those agbalagba, for instance, those who experience what they call atosi, which we know as gonorrhea and all of those things, you find out that some young men, if they go to eat and they go like, no, I don't want okra, they'll be like, can you see the relationship? It's quite philosophical, but people don't pay attention to these things. So herbal medicines are quite scientific. They are absolutely scientific. But our problem is that we keep trying to, define them within the narrative of isolation, active ingredients, let's bioassay it for this. No, herbal medicines are our regular foods. They are our kitchen medicines. They are our kitchen remedies. So if I get my efo shoko, for instance, when I am constipated personally, I cook efo shoko and I eat it. And I enjoy fantastic bowel movement because it's a laxative. Your same efo shoko that you use as eforio. So imagine when people bring up issues like active ingredients, for instance, it does not apply to herbal medicines.
Why?
It doesn't, because active ingredient is a principle. It's a philosophy of trying to identify what is active in a plant and so that we can isolate it.
Yes.
Not just make it work. The principle of active ingredient came up because our fathers of medicine, Hippocrates and Galen, they were using herbs. I hope you know that. And then over time, how did the pharmaceutical industry evolve? It evolved, part of the reasons why it evolved was that the fathers of medicine realized that these plants were not always available all year round, in their own location. The same thing applies to us here. Now, they want to see how they can make the same plant available to people that will come when that plant is not in season. And that was how apothecary started to develop, alchemy, and then it evolved into pharmaceutical sciences. And then they felt, okay, this plant actually helps to relieve malaria or relieve fever or high temperature. What is that thing that is making it relieve high temperature? And then, of course, with the emergence of the microbial studies and all of those things, they were able, then the concept of isolating active compounds started. When we isolate, because I also did quite some study in pharmacognosy, when we isolate compounds, you bioassay all of the compounds. For instance, if you do an isolation of, say, water leaf extract, and then you find like 20-something compounds, you apply all of these compounds to, say, Plasmodium, and then you find that one is the most active, and that's what you call the active ingredient. And then you find out the structure of that active ingredient for the purpose of synthesizing it in the laboratory. That's why you identify the active ingredient, so that you can mass produce it. And then you can study it better. Okay. But the problem is, in herbal medicine, you do not need to isolate an active ingredient, because the entire plant itself is not only, you don't use herbal medicine for a single condition. They are usually holistic. And that is where the concept of Awogbaran comes from. Even though science does not accept and understandably so, because medicines in principle are designed as poisons. In principle.
I know.
You want to attack Plasmodium with an anti-malaria, you attack the Plasmodium with maybe 2 milligrams of the ACT. The moment you take 10, you are going to not just kill the Plasmodium, you start to kill your own body. And that's why they will tell you, use a certain quantity, the dosage, the prescription, and you must follow it. Otherwise, you start to poison yourself. So the difference between medicine and poison is in the quantity you use. But in foods, yes, there is also overdose. You can also get intoxicated, you can get poisoned if you abuse these plants. But the principles, see, there are some principles that you can apply in both pharmaceutical drugs and kitchen remedies, herbal remedies. But you cannot strictly define certain things in pharmaceutical terms, in food medicine.
If you are insisting that they should have different standards,
yes,
how will the world accept our standard if it is not in line with the world principles of our standards, as it were? For instance, if we're developing a herbal remedy for constipation, as simple as constipation is, and we have, you mentioned F4, F4 shoko, for instance.
That's the celosia.
Yeah. Now, if we're using that, the science world will subject it to trials.
Yeah.
And so, what form of trials are we going to subject our F4 to?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that beautiful question. Because there's this principle of developing traditional medicine clinical trials, which is principally what we do here anyway. Now, F4 shoko, usually herbal medicines, information about herbal medicines do not fall from the sky. That's why I laugh when people tell me they found the information on Google. No, traditional medicines don't work like that. The information must be coming from somewhere. And that is where ethnography comes in. You have ethnomedicine, you have ethnobotany. Information must be traceable. And information that is not traceable is dangerous, is potentially dangerous. You must be able to say that this person gave me information about this mixture. Pretty much like your knowledge about making pepper soup didn't fall on you from the sky. You must have observed someone prepare it, or you must have learned it from, deliberately learned it from a tutor. Maybe your mom, a teacher or something, or you attended catering school. The same thing with, herbal medicine. So that information kept aside, you know that your information has a source. Now, the source of your information, how was it prescribed to you to use it? Remember, you are not just stumbling on the information. You have been given a recipe. And where there is a recipe, the only clinical trial because when you have a recipe, it has ruled out the issue of toxicity most of the time, and safety, and efficacy.
These are three principles that are very important in medicine.
In chemical drugs.
Yes. So what about in your institution?
In my field here,
yes.
By the time someone tells me that, okay, use a handful of shoko with maybe a tumbler of water.
That's dosage.
That is dosage, and usually that is the kind of information you will get, and that is standard.
It should be measurable, so everybody to be able to measure that and document it.
You will be able to measure it, and most of the time, the undoing usually of traditional medical practice is documentation. Most of our documentation, except for our own generation that we started documenting things with pen and paper, our forefathers did mental documentation, which is documentation nonetheless. That's why you would find it in poetry, recitations, incantations, and many things like that. It's documentation nonetheless, despite the fact that they are reciting the ingredients to you.
Oral documentation.
Oral documentation, thank you.
But it's not sustainable.
It is.
If the person dies off today, that's the end of that library.
For the people practicing it, it is sustainable.
How?
There is a way I got the information that I'm documenting. There is a way my father got the information that he's documenting. The only difference now is our own generation is documenting it in a different way. And that's the effort we are making. But it does not invalidate that information.
You're transiting from that system.
From oral documentation.
Into this system.
Yes.
Because you know that it is more sustainable
exactly.
in terms of transition from you to someone else.
Another generation. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because if I do not have any contact with your father, you had a contact with him.
Yeah.
And if you don't document it in the book, I can't read it.
Yeah.
I can't have access to it. So what I'm saying here is this. The world would like to know the remedy that we have and be able to trust
verify
it.
And trust it.
Yes.
Basically, trust emanates from verification. If I can't verify that, okay, this thing is effective, then I won't be able to trust it. Now we are saying, is traditional medicine, is it effective? The general opinion is that it is effective. You would have seen people apply it, and they will tell you it is effective. The only lapse here where organizations like us now step in is documentation. And we have been doing quite a lot of documentation about the use of many of these formulations. But of course, a lot of these formulations are patented. If you go to our Facebook page, whatever, you will find we are putting out some formulations out there. Because the danger again is this. Traditional healing system has its own wisdom, philosophies, and code of conduct as well, which of course you would also find in the modern healing system. Now, the issue of prescribing medications to a healed person, this is the thing. When I prescribe to you, and you will find out that these are some of the reasons why the modern healing system is battling with abuse and addiction and all of that. In the past, at least, as of the time that I was born, I know that when you go into the hospital, they won't even tell you the name of the medication they are giving you. But of course, practitioners were beginning to abuse that, and that was why they insisted that they must tell you the name of what you're being given. Now, the downside of that is this. Maybe the doctor wants you to use the antibiotics for just 3 days or 5 days. You use it, you feel, I'm still feeling that itching. You go back, you take the sachet to go and get more.
Or you prescribe it to your friend who has the same,
prescribe it to your friend.
Similar.
So the issue of abuse has become uncontrollable because of that single error, because it is an error. The same thing applies to traditional healing systems. Now, if you are not a part of what they call awo anyway, because awo basically is not anything occultic, so to say. It's just, the group of people.
By whose definition?
By my experience, basically. Because a group of medical doctors, a group of surgeons, they are an awo on their own. I can't just carry a knife and go and perform surgery if I don't go through the training, if I don't go through the tests. I must get inducted into the institute or whatever before I can practice surgery. That is awoism, if I'm allowed. You understand?
So let's come to COVID-19.
Yes.
Like I said at the introduction, Madagascar is saying we have a cure.
Absolutely.
Is it possible for traditional herbal practitioners to find, I will not use the word cure, to find a solution or management or treatment to COVID-19?
It's very possible. But before I delve into that, I need to state this for the public to learn from. Now, no amount of laboratory trials or experiment can invalidate a man's experience. Now, what does this mean? Because this thing has gone on for too long. People experience something, but because you are a scientist who has not experienced it, you try to use science to invalidate their experience, make a nonsense of what that person has gone through. For instance, if I have a headache and I drink water and the headache goes away, my experience will say that by drinking water and probably laying my head on the pillow and in a dark room and all of that, it might relieve headache, and I could prescribe that to my friends. And if it's working for them, it becomes something effective. Now, you as a scientist, because it doesn't make sense to you, do not have the right to say that, no, that is nonsense, because you have not experienced it. Wait until you experience it. And really, what I would expect scientists to do is not to say, oh, no, it's not possible. It is to find a way of coming together, meeting in the middle. And how can we meet in the middle? Subject these things to trials. If I claim that I can cure death, for instance, all you need to do is, oh, you can cure death. Fine, bring it on. I have a few dead people here. Wake them up. And then you can validate my claim or invalidate it. It's as simple as that. But it's morally wrong to say that, oh, what you experienced is impossible.
But you know, as I know, that the world is now a global village, as it were.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
so we cannot use human beings as guinea pigs, because that's what it will be.
The concept of guinea pigs does not even come to play in traditional medicine.
Because if you say, okay, let's try it out, you are going to use a human being possibly a person who has this condition and say, okay, I'll give it to you to try.
Usually what we will
so
tell
what do you call
that
that person? If we get someone
a
from
volunteer, yeah, not a guinea pig.
Yeah.
But the thing is, before I would come up and say I want to try something on you, I've not met with any practitioner now who is just randomly picking leaves and barks together. I'm a practitioner. I have mixtures that I use to relieve COVID-like symptoms. COVID is novel, remember. I've never treated COVID. That's why I laugh when I see some publications, and it is media people that are putting this thing out. And people will say they have cure for COVID. I mean,
no, we don't.
What is your source of data?
We don't put such out.
Online.
Maybe you see it online.
Okay,
I mean, online
it's
is
media. I'm not a media. I'm not a media.
It's not regulated. I mean, no radio, television will put that out.
So I see things like cure for COVID, and I'm like, gosh, when did you carry out your clinical trials?
The first question we ask such persons is, have you ever treated this
COVID
before?
It's a different thing if you say that you have mixtures that can relieve the symptoms of COVID. And that was why I began to become interested when the conversation started going around anti-malarials, anti-asthma medications and all of that, because respiratory distress syndrome. So these are things that are associated with the viral infection. Because in essence, if my knowledge of virology still serves me right, virus is like the nexus between living and non-living. It is not an exactly living cell, but it's a particle that carries genetic material. So you can't exactly, virus from history, I've read about other viral infections, the time of influenza, smallpox, polio, and all of that. There has been no medication that attacks the metabolism of the viral particle the way they will design antibiotic or anti-malaria. You understand? It has always been something that will prepare the immune system to attack the particle when it comes into your body. Even the vaccine, that's what it does, because they will introduce a non-virulent strain of the viral particle into you. That's what they inject into you. And then that prepares your body to produce antibodies that locks up the sites where the virus uses to attach itself to your body cells, so that the moment the real virus gets introduced into your body is prepared to produce those antibodies. And that is the way it attacks it. And that is the way that viral infections are taken care of traditionally and with modern medicine. What traditional medicine does, it boosts your immune system. In fact, for most diseases, be it cold, be it hepatitis B virus, be it whatever viral infection, even for fungal or bacterial infections, what we do is boost immune systems. But there are plants that are known that, apart from boosting immune system, they also have toxic effect on these microbes. So they have a kind of double-edged approach. So saying that the truth is, we may never be able to get rid of these virus particles, because I don't think we have been able to get rid of smallpox. Some people still come up with smallpox. The incidence is quite low, almost negligible, but if you go to those hinterlands, those villages, they still come up with smallpox and they know how they treat themselves.
Thank you for being here. The program is still Insight on Splash 105.5 FM. There are three things that I deduce, and from what you have said, what should government do at this point in these three areas? There is prevention.
Okay.
There is management of these symptoms and the signs. There is that management. There's also the aspect of people understanding, how to protect themselves from it.
Yeah.
What should the government do in conjunction with herbal medicine practitioner like you, in this sense? Now that you said you have brought in, science documentation into what you do, so what should we do?
I think first and foremost, the government should play the role of a facilitator. You know, the government has to be neutral in all of this, because when we're talking of, I always don't like delving into conversations of herbal medicines versus orthodox medicine. What we should be talking about is complementarism, and basically that's what I do here. If I'm going to treat malaria, for example, I won't just give you agumuiba. I would make you go through a blood test. That is harnessing Western technology, which is exactly what the medical doctor will do.
So you want to be sure that it's actually the
And I want to know
fever.
the level of the malaria that is causing the symptoms that you are complaining about to me. So if I see that your malaria is plus, or triple plus, I would know how long I will tell you to use the agbo for. And then when you have finished using it, I will send you back to the laboratory so that you yourself can compare your results and see that, oh, it was triple plus the other time, now it's 1 plus, or it's no longer there anymore. And you can tell that, okay, the treatment is effective or not exactly what you understand. Now, the role that the government should be playing is creating an enabling environment for all practitioners. Because whether you like it or not, it's not just about traditional medical practitioners being silenced. Even medical doctors are not. For instance, they brought in foreigners to. I mean, seriously, we have seasoned medical doctors that can even do better than these people. So the government needs to play the role of creating an enabling environment for everyone, and then we need to start embracing complementarism. You understand? Okay, if we have isolation centers, what's the degree of the infection? Are people requiring respiratory machines? You know, are their situations so bad? Okay, as a traditional healer, what level of infection do I think I can handle? Can I handle it when it has gotten to the point when the person cannot? This is not about claiming glory. This is about saving lives. This is about professionalism, but completely shutting out a group of people that have got value to bring to the table. Honestly, it's to the detriment of the entire system. Absolutely.
So you want government to produce that environment.
Exactly, enabling environment. Bring everybody on board.
Okay.
Question people, what can you do? For instance, if they come to me, what can I do? I'm not even an individual here, because we have even come together under the NANTMP, for instance, the Traditional Medical Practitioners of Nigeria. We have written to the government, and we
wrote a letter.
Yes. We wrote a letter to His Excellency, Oyo State. We wrote a letter to NCDC. We wrote a letter to WHO. We wrote a letter to the Ministry of Health, because these are the agencies that we need audience with. And what are we looking for? We just want you to give us a chance, you know, to bring because NANTMP is the umbrella body for all traditional practitioners, anyway, traditional healers. Let us call on these traditional healers, because it is even unethical for you to leave people to stray around and be claiming, no, I can cure COVID. People will fall victim to charlatans. So if the government enables the association, for instance, to bring their people together, we can select, you know, and tell who the real practitioners are, who are those people that have original medications that can work. We can do that on behalf of the government and then present something concrete to the government.
And so we'll be able to weed out the charlatans.
Exactly. And then who knows, Madagascar is saying that they have a cure today because they had government support.
And SGF is probably thinking that we will import them.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
How do you feel?
I feel terrible, like I've always felt. You know, no support. And if they import Madagascar medicine, that would just be the height. That would be the height, because honestly, we can do better. We can do better. We've got what it takes. Nigerians our traditional healers, they know that the record is there for the government to see.
There's something.
They just need to arrange, you know, clinical trials for these things. And of course, clinical trials is...
Your practice seems to be different from the ones that we know everywhere.
That you're used to, yes, I understand.
The reason is you kept talking about being a clinician, you know, being able to do tests and subject your medicine to trials, you know, in those forms. How are we going to get our traditional medicine to this point where they can use the elements of the orthodox medicine in their own practice
as well,
and also be able to document like you told me you did.
Yeah, honestly, you may not know about it because it's not your field, but a lot of practitioners are already stepping up to that level. Right now, I'm the vice chairman for the Nanti MP in Oyo State, and part of our plan is to continue to organize what we call continuous professional training for practitioners registered under us. And part of this training would enlighten them on how they can do these things. A lot of them are already doing it. But they are not out there because they don't even have the enabling environment. People even doubt what they have to offer. And honestly, if we don't believe in our own, no one is going to believe in us. I would keep mentioning what Madagascar has done. Do you know how it will boost the morale of the traditional healers in Madagascar? Let our government, I promise you, if the government can give traditional healers a chance at COVID, Nigeria will be better for it. And it's not, what beats me is it's not only in the Southwest. We have very effective medicines all over the country in the 6 geopolitical zones.
I know that some African nations like Ghana, Senegal have passed the bill that is called Traditional Medicine Bill.
Yeah.
That will help the practitioners and products move to commercialization. Nigeria is yet to pass that bill. What will be your call?
Well,
for commercialization, at least.
We have not yet passed that bill, but we'll get there. You know, it's one step before the other. August last year, on the 31st of August, during the Traditional Medicine Day, at least the minister was able to launch, I don't know if the right word is launch now, but they were able to mainstream traditional medicine into our universities. So universities now, it is left for them if they've not started teaching it, but they can, because it has been mainstreamed into the academics, they can start establishing departments of traditional medicine. And if you look at UI, we already have Institute of African Studies, where this is being taught already. All we need to do is create a very robust curriculum around this practice. For instance, some people have called me and they have asked me, oh, Mrs. Ojo, what do you think? Where do you think the Department of Traditional Medicine should be situated? I need to use this opportunity to educate the public. Traditional medicine cannot be a department because it's a collection of practices. It's a faculty where the farmer is involved, the forester is involved, the doctors are involved, the biochemists are involved. It's a faculty of practices. So it cannot, this is not about academic politics anymore. This is about doing the right thing.
Is that big?
It's huge. It's huge because traditional medicine, what goes into traditional medicine is huge, and I don't have a right to invalidate a practice within the practice. For instance, there are people that believe that with rituals they can heal. If we can establish the science behind it, that okay, you put out a rituals there in the junction and somebody gets well, what we should be looking at is what is the science behind
what
this.
What is the connection?
Not condemning that practice, because if it is effective, it might be a saving grace. Some people would say incantations and people will get well. Are we looking at the power of these things?
Now, one of the reasons why people doubt the potency of herbal medicine that I've come to know is that people were negatively stigmatizing it because of religious beliefs.
Oh, how I'm doing.
Sometimes it doesn't, connect with some religious beliefs. So they say, I am a Christian, I cannot take something, from
my people die for lack of knowledge.
A tradition, that's Bible.
Yeah, because it's even in the Bible. If you check Genesis, if you check Ezekiel, if you check Revelations, you would find there that God himself recommended plants for food and healing. So where did our religious people, find that conviction that when you are using herbs, you cannot serve God?
Because if someone picks up 2, 3, 4 leaves and begin to say something I do not understand to it, what was he saying?
Usually when I train people about understanding religious beliefs, what I do is I take a mound of Oshedudu. I take cowries, which I wear proudly on my hair anyway. Now, if you see Oshedudu ordinarily, at least these days, a few years back, when I was in secondary school in the 90s, I used to bathe with Oshedudu. I've always used Oshedudu because that's my upbringing. And people will be like, I've always moisturized my skin with shea butter. Before the shea butter craze now, became So the thing is, when you see Oshedudu, you're not scared. But the moment I put curry in Oshedudu, they go like, blood of Jesus. And I'm like, excuse you?
Yes.
These are elements that I've just brought together and you are scared.
Shouldn't I be scared?
See, your fear is not because of those elements. Because when they were separate, you were not scared.
I probably would not have any business with the cowrie.
No, you probably would not be scared of the cowrie either.
If the cowrie is used as ornament, maybe I won't be scared. But when you lock Oshedudu with that cowrie,
and then you become scared. Now that is where the human mind, I try to use that to analyze their minds.
I like the analogy.
Yeah, I try to use that to analyze their minds to them. If you are scared of that, if they take light, you'll be scared. It means you're guilty of something. You're scared of your own mindset, not of these items. These items they're just items. It is soap and curry, please.
You make it simplistic, but it's not that simple.
It may not be that simple because your mind has conjured up imaginations that you have developed as a result of your exposure to Nollywood, to information that has been misconstrued.
Is it just Nollywood?
Yes, well, that's the best example that people can understand.
How about the environment? We've seen it in the environment.
In our environment, there is something that people do not get to understand. You do not even have access to this information. So you are not scared of those items. You are scared of your ignorance.
In your practice, do you use incantation?
I'm aware of incantations.
Do you use it?
I don't. Why? But I'm aware of them because I don't need them. No amount of incantations can make pepper less peppery. Maybe that sounds like incantation again.
It is.
No amount of incantation can make bitter leaf less bitter. So let's be serious here. When my father was training me, one day he just told me, he was like, look, this is something that you can train your students with. Give them bitter leaf, give them pepper. Tell them to say all the prayers, all the adits, all the incantations they know, and tell them to put it in their mouth. The science of it is that the biochemistry will remain the biochemistry, the pepper will remain pepper, the bitter leaf will remain bitter leaf. But that does not invalidate incantations, which is not my own area of interest. I'm trying to go into it anyway. Because we know. Yes, I'm someone that is quite curious about knowledge systems. That is why I pick interest. See, if you tell me something works, as a researcher, that is who a researcher is. Because you need to experience it. That was why I told you about the experience. If you are preparing a thesis, you have to experience your methods before you can report it.
Have you studied the symptoms of COVID-19? Have you studied it?
Yes, we have. We have studied it.
What did you come out with?
Now, symptoms of COVID-19 is not just a single symptom. I mean, not a single symptom. You have things like sore throat. You have loss of taste. You have fever. You have what they call pneumonia-like symptoms, which is, the collection of fluid in the lungs. But that is at the very, very late stage, which is where the respiratory distress comes from. But before it gets to that point, before the body gets damaged to that extent, there are ways you can protect yourself from the fever, because, I told you, the virus is a simple yet deadly particle. Very simple. For instance, it is known, it has been proven. People have reported it, more than 100 reports. I mean, that is significant data. And they have said that when they use hot water, or when they cover themselves in steam, when they use the steam therapy, they get relieved. So the virus is something that is quite easy to take care of, but has to be taken care of in time once you get exposed to it and your immune system has not been able to fight it. For all I care, we could all be exposed. It might just be our immune system that is keeping us on our feet. Because in essence, that is what keeps us on our feet every day. Because we are always exposed to the virus that causes cold and catarrh. We're always exposed to viral particles every now and then. And that is why they will give us vaccinations for HPV and all of those things, because they know you're always exposed to that particle. But your body must be prepared to fight them. So if you are exposed to COVID, how can your body fight it? It is either you don't even know you have been exposed. Now, the danger of COVID is, if you are exposed and you do not follow all of those cleanliness protocols, washing your hands, covering your nose, and all of those things, you just might, even though you are not being affected because you have a stronger immune system, which is a trend that I'm beginning to suspect among the seemingly the people we call rural people, there seems to be less prevalence there because who knows, maybe their immune system, you know how we say, you know, maybe it is us, but see that this thing is really, we don't know yet. That is not a statement of fact. So if you're really immune, it doesn't mean that you cannot infect a less immune person.
Sure.
So you need to continue to make sure that you're clean, you cover your nose just in case you have the virus, but at the same time fortify your immune system such that the virus cannot compromise your body. But with the symptoms, there are herbs that take care of the symptoms. There are proven claims, and when I say proven, clinically proven. I have seen someone with the symptom. He has used something. I saw him the next day. He didn't have the symptom again. Please, what other evidence do I need? Our Excellency, Engineer Seyi Makinde, he was positive. He used black seed oil, carrot, honey, and some other things. And today is negative. That is science. There is an initial test, there's a final one. Something in the middle, methodology, which is where we have variations. People use different methods. He has used black seed oil, carrot, and honey. Someone else is using agboiba. Some people even bathe with it, which is okay if that is the prescription you've gotten. Someone else is using garlic, turmeric, ginger, and lime. Someone else is using plain hot water. I saw a video where an American lady said she used the blow dryer, the hair dryer. She just wet her face and blew it in her nose for a long time, and she got relieved. Who am I to invalidate her claim and say that, oh, you don't know what you're saying? Before I can say she doesn't know what she's saying, we should have like 100 volunteers that will try a method, and then our statistics will show us whether it's effective or not.
So do you think government should allow traditional herbal medical practitioners to be exposed to those who have this virus?
The government should not only allow them. Yes, the government should allow them. The government should also give the enabling environment for them to partake in clinical trials of their mixtures. So
would you be willing, for instance, now to involve in such a clinical trial, to say you want to manage a set of COVID-19 patients?
Absolutely. Give me 20 patients. Let's
20?
Yeah.
You didn't even say 2.
No, 2. 2 won't give us. See, in medical statistics, you need significant data to be able to construct your, curves and graphs and all of that. So with the data of 20, we can get something really significant that we can extrapolate and apply to a larger population.
So if you see 20 people who are willing to come into your trials,
absolutely,
you administer your own, I don't know what the name, concoction?
Mixtures. They're called mixtures. Whether they are concoctions, decoctions, macerates, extracts, they're all herbal mixtures. You have burnt and powdered, you have dried and powdered, which they refer to as ebu or agumu. They're all mixtures. They're all herbal.
You seem to have different names for them.
Yes, they have different names. If you're in the field, you would understand. There are some that we call aseje, and people will hear aseje and they be like, oh, blood of Jesus, and I'm like, what is your rice and beans? Is it not aseje? What is your foriro? Is it not aseje? You cook and you eat.
They are aseje too.
That is where aseje comes from. Aseje, something you cook and you eat.
So you cook and eat it.
That is aseje. So every food that you eat is aseje.
You make all of these things so simple.
Because they are simple. They are not. See, people call a dog a bad name in order to behead it.
Because they say there are some aseje that you eat and you make money.
Well,
do you know those?
I hear of those,
okay.
But I think what I usually tell people is, see, we need to have common sense. You are going to meet someone that wants to make money for you, and you are meeting him in a hut.
Because he doesn't want to eat for himself.
Really? Who doesn't like a good life? If he's going to give you money, you should go and meet. He should park a private jet in front of his house.
Let's come to the issue of linking up with the government.
Okay.
I'm so much interested in that.
Okay.
So, have you followed up much about your letter to the government, particularly even if you start from your state, if not for national government, from your state? If the governor had claimed that he used black seed, honey, carrot, that means he probably has some confidence in these alternative medicines. So have you reached out to him? It shouldn't be so difficult to get to him.
First and foremost, I don't like you using the word claim. It makes it sound like you don't trust his testimony. He has testified. I don't usually like the word claim.
You use the word verified claims.
Yes, to verify claims, because when we are talking of claims from practitioners. His Excellency is someone of good standing. That's why he's governor of Oyo State. So he has a testimony. We can't call that a claim. And his testimony is that he was positive, he used this, and it became negative. How many people are we applying his mixture for? Have we applied it to other people who are positive? So that we can, because see, this is where my own practice comes in. I'm a clinician. I document testimonies. I document information, ethnomedical information. You tell me, okay, a bulb of onion, if placed in the room, nobody in that room can have cough. I try that. And then if truly I place it in the room and people will cough, get relieved and all of that, I start to establish some efficacy to that information. And that is how we work with clinical trials or, traditional clinical methods. So yes, the thing is this. If the government gives us audience, we are willing to work. But we are trying. I hope the government is listening to us. I hope His Excellency is listening to me at this minute. The National Association of Nigerian Traditional Medical Practitioners have written a letter to His Excellency. We believe that he has received it. And if he hasn't received it, I believe that now he is aware that, we have written to him and he can call for such because we know he's really busy.
Where did you drop the letter? Is it Ministry of Health?
We dropped a copy for Ministry of Health. We dropped in His Excellency's office.
His office?
His office, yes. We dropped in. I didn't drop it personally.
I thought it was dropped there.
Yes, it was dropped there. And they got a letter, they got an acknowledgement copy. Yeah, so we did drop the letter. And then we have tried to follow up as well. And we have been calling out on Twitter in a nice way, not like, we've been calling out on Twitter, trying to call their attention to this because this is not about an individual. Now, I'm really avoiding going individual because that would be that would be the situation. That's exactly what I don't find attractive with some people that are coming out, I have got the claim. Look at what Madagascar has done. They have not mentioned anybody's name per se. It is to the glory of God and to the glory of the nation. Madagascar has come out with this, and that is what Oyo State government should be looking at. What is it that Oyo State government is going to come out with? Because after this pandemic, our life post-pandemic is not going to remain the same. A lot of things are going to be redefined with, this pandemic. It now, the definition, how it's going to be, depends on what steps we take today. What is the government going to do about the efforts we have made? We have written a letter. We can't just barge into their offices. We hope they will call on us. We will be willing to respond.
I also wish that you also follow up again. Maybe with a reminder.
We are following up.
Maybe with a reminder.
Okay.
And then we also keep talking about it, so until they get to
hear.
We
would absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, so let's close this. Let me hear from you. What do you really do in your organization?
It's very simple. People come in, they tell us they are ill. We go through all of the counseling. We put mixtures together. We don't just put random mixtures together. These are documented mixtures, things that traditionally are referred to as iwe apant, But of course, beyond that, there are mixtures that are mentally documented. There are mixtures that are written down. We put these mixtures together. We administer it on them. And then we continue to evaluate them. We are using, all the social media and technology now to enhance our practice more. We have a lot of, it was just showing me, we have a lot of patients, on WhatsApp, and they will keep saying, doctor, I feel like this, that's fine, continue with this. So we do a lot of administration and clinical follow-up via, those media. And then people come back, we evaluate them, we send them back for tests. They're either better or they need more follow-up. And then we continue to follow them up. We monitor, we evaluate, we document. And then, people keep sending their loved ones to us. That person, they treated me for hepatitis B, they treated me for hypertension. We treat a range of diseases. And as you can see, we have some products as well. These products are as a result of decades of application or what you call clinical trials. For instance, the PPR was primarily extracted for JEDI, for instance, but it's been administered for over 40 years, close to 41 years now. And over those decades, we have been able to, find out more information about the things that it wasn't even initially prescribed for, which is what you find at the stage 4, phase 4 of clinical trials anyway. So it is more or less at the phase 4 now, where it is out there and people keep giving us feedback. And that is what we do with every single item that comes out of this place. So basically it's simple. We do research and we document and we develop phytomedicines.
And you believe that it is possible for herbal medicine to find a remedy for COVID-19?
I don't believe, I know, I'm certain.
Dr. Christiana Olapade Ojo, thank you for speaking with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm totally on board.
That's done Insight for this week. For comments and inquiries, you can reach me via email on sakinola@splashfm1055.com. sakinola@splashfm1055.com. My Twitter handle is at Seun Akinola, at Seun Akinola, 0811-2494-231 for SMS only. I'm Oluwaseun Akinola. Do have a splendid evening.